when we talk about barriers of entry, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, we have EXP as our backer, if you will, and we go through these IBBA courses, et cetera. For someone that's potentially looking to get into this, can you kind of walk through what that first year might look like? And, kind of any of those major barriers to entry that we might have into the community?
Well, I think there's no real major barriers to entry because when you look at business brokerage, there are so few of us and there are so many businesses out there. It really comes down to being able to communicate with business owners. You've got an entire baby boomer generation wanting to retire over the next 10 years. So, you can start there, or you can, go with other business owners, serial entrepreneurs, things like that. There's just a ton of opportunity out there. And I would say there's probably only 8,000 or so agents, business brokers across the country. So in the state of California, we have about 450,000 real estate licensees. And in California, we are required to have a real estate license in order to sell a business. So out of 440,000 or 450,000, there are probably about 800 business brokers across the state. There are so many more businesses than brokers. There's just not a barrier to entry. It's called, it's called having to take certain action to be able to talk to business owners. So you join chambers of commerce, you do some networking, you join professional networking organizations. If you have business background, you already can speak to them at their level, at their language, because you've already been a business owner. But if you haven't, then you also want to build alliances with CPAs and attorneys and financial advisors, because they have relationships with their clients and know when their clients are getting ready to sell or wanting to sell. And I think you just go out, you just start trying to educate business owners. You ask them, I know brokers that just drive to a commercial block, right? In any main area, whatever the main boulevard is, and they'll go and they'll walk the block and go into every single retail store. A lot of times, like I said, those shops are owner operated. So a lot of times the owner is there and they just talk to the owners. Hey, how much longer are you considering working in the business? And have you thought about selling? So there's all kinds of ways to get the dialogue going with business owners. There are some brokers that just go out and, they do seminars. They invite business owners to seminars talking about business growth or business growth and exit strategies, right? Because there's all kinds of education out there about how to start a business, how to grow a business. There's becoming more education about how to exit from a business, but that's still not the norm. I mean, when you look at SBA and you look at SCORE and you look at the courses that they give or make available in economic development agencies and all of that, it's all about starting businesses and growing businesses. But they don't talk about how to exit. And so that was something that I was talking to, we have a Chamber of Commerce here that's in Coachella Valley that's got involved, like, it's a greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce. So it incorporates about 6 different cities. So I joined that, and I was talking to a couple of the board members about doing some workshops or seminars on, exit strategies. I mean, 100% of business owners are going to exit their business at one point in time or another in the future. It's a given. So they're just not taught to think about it. and they need the education. And so that's where, as a broker, if you're willing to go in and start helping and educating these business owners, that's a great way to establish that relationship. You're going to find a few that want to sell now, and you're going to start filling the pipeline with those who want to sell a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now.
That's great, Tawnya. Presumably, the sales process would include some sort of sale package, right? Here's the business as presented. Can you share a sample package that you would have put together for somebody, or is there a way we can look at one to make sure we understand how it looks?
Yeah, I do have some samples that I've kind of provided to the group that I mentor. And I can make those available.
Thank you. And if I get this any closer, I'll sign up with you as a mentor.
Yeah, let me make a note.
No reason to
I'll
waste
just
your
email
time
it
if I
to
don't
you.
have somebody on the line.
Sure, no worries.
Tawnya,
Joe,
do you ever like do any kind of webinars or something like that with like the presentation you were talking about that you gave to, for exit strategies? Or do you have any recordings of that? I'd love to watch them if so.
I don't have, well, years ago I was at a Business Enterprise Institute. BEI is an organization focused on exit planning, and they have coursework and all of that. You can get certified, become certified exit planner through their organization. And so years ago I was at I did a hour-long presentation at one of their conferences on, I believe the reason it was why businesses should always be ready for a third-party sale. And the point of it to these exit planners was that, sometimes you come across businesses where the son or family member, the next generation is going to take over the business at some point. And when that's the case, oftentimes, because they've already made that decision, they don't go through the process of really analyzing the business the same way a buyer would, a third-party buyer would. And so therefore that generation taking over, or it could be a key employee group or whatever, they don't really know necessarily the ins and outs of the business as well as they think they do. Yes, they've been working in the business, but their view of the business has been kind of in a box. They haven't had the big picture necessarily. And so the point of that presentation was really that even if you're doing an inside sale, or you think you're going to do an inside sale, go ahead and prepare the business and get it ready as if it's going to be a third-party sale, because that way, if something happens, which things do happen, or life happens, right? You can always pivot. You can always pivot to that third-party sale, and you're ready. Because what you find also is that sometimes the business owner believes that he's going to give the business to the next generation, but the son, daughter, or whatever, they don't want it. They don't want to be business owners. They don't have that mindset. They're happy working there, but that's all.
We're mentioning BEI.
Yeah.
And then EPI.
Yes.
So is it one of those things which comes first? Because the certification from EPI to me is definitely above BEI. However, the tools that you get from BEI actually makes it so you can sit there and talk to the client right now and actually have tools to, I don't know, you've been through both, so you tell me. I don't know.
Well, I would say that I found it to be the opposite. So you can get certified by EPI in a week. They have a 1-week training program, and then you take a test and you're done and you're certified. With BEI,
Was that
you've
deep
got
dive training? They don't do a deep dive in their training?
not like BEI does. So BEI, you're dealing with about 120 hours. Then you have to do 2 case studies and submit them, and they have to be, you know, and they're graded. And if you haven't learned what you need to learn, then they're not going to certify you. So I went the BEI route because I was much more interested in the education, not the certification. I got the certification, that's great. But for me, I wanted to make sure that I understood what I was doing, that I could do a good job for a client and all of that. So, you know, the harder road sometimes is, you know, and
That's
yes,
what I want. Thank you.
Well, and yes, BEI does have the tools. And so that was part of the other reason that I went with him. Although there is a company in Australia called Mouse, MAUS, that does have software for exit planning. You can subscribe to, and I think that's what EPI uses. So, you know, but then 2 organizations, they're both good. But again, you know, it's how much education do you want and at what level? And I just wanted a deeper dive.